Welcome to On the Ballot with Ballotpedia, where we connect people to politics by providing neutral, nonpartisan, and reliable information on our government, how it works, and where it's headed. I'm Victoria Rose, and thanks for being with us. Anyone who's been listening to the show for a long time knows that for the last 2 years, I've been one of the primary hosts. I've really enjoyed chatting with different Ballotpedia staff writers about their work and all kinds of folks from around the political world about their expertise. Today, however, will be my last episode as the host of On the Ballot, and I'm joined now by the show's new host, our editor-in-chief, Geoff Pallay. Geoff, welcome to the show.
Hey, Victoria. And just to let everyone know, you're not leaving Ballotpedia. We're just letting you spend more time on your day job on the ballot measure team. So I'm excited to take over and grateful for all of your work over the last couple of years on the show. It's been fun listening and being a guest.
Yeah, it's been fun to launch the podcast and watch its growth over the last 2 years. Big shout out to Frank, our producer, who's helped that growth. But yeah, looking forward to what you do with this show, Geoff.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We have a lot of fun with this show, and I'm sure you did as well. And now we'll just kind of see where it takes off.
Yeah, let's introduce you a little bit. I mean, you've been on the show before, kind of shared your origin story, but I figured you could share it again with our listeners for any new listeners that may not know your background. You've been with Ballotpedia since 2010. I kind of had a variety of roles in that time. So what's it been like watching us evolve and grow over the years? And how did you first join Ballotpedia?
Origin story feels like it's too heavy. Like I feel like I'm like Wolverine and it's like the X-Men origin story. No, that's not me. No, I came to Ballotpedia in 2010 as a staff writer. Same kind of role you had when you started here. I met it in many Ballotpedians started as staff writers. But I started in 2010 working on the state legislative team. And you're right, I've held a number of different roles over the years. I think on one of our old podcast episodes, Matt and I spent some time comparing notes on who had the most job titles at Ballotpedia. And I think he won, but that's okay.
He's been here longer though, right?
Matt's been 1 year longer than me. So Matt just barely gets the prize there. So I've been really just so honestly proud and honored to be part of Ballotpedia as we've grown over these years, to now having more than 500,000 articles on Ballotpedia and more than 80 full-time employees at the company as we continue to march all the way down the ballot and cover every election and increase our coverage of all the different elements of the political system. So yeah, the podcast is such an important part of that for us because, when I started here, so much of the political content was from people just searching the web. Social media was really a thing in 2010. So the market, the world is really different in how people consume their information. And so just, having a podcast is just a fun little next part of that journey for us to reach as many readers as we can to bring them the content that people like yourself are producing on Ballotpedia.
Yeah, definitely. So as you become host, what are you most excited about for the podcast and its future?
I'm just excited to continue to have fun conversations with people on Ballotpedia staff and people out in the political world to share with listeners. I always say readers. For 14 years now, I've always called everyone who absorbs and digests Ballotpedia content a reader. Now I have to say things like viewers and listeners. Like I said, like my PBS, viewers like you. So I'm just really excited about bringing our content to a different audience, to the podcast audience, and getting to talk about the things that really excite us about Ballotpedia, like the context around political information, the sort of the undiscovered parts of political system, like canceled elections and, local ballot measures that nobody really realizes are pretty impactful in their communities. So all the things that we've written about on Ballotpedia for years and we've brought to readers who find our content through search or through, newsletters. Now, we're continuing to try to bring all that information and all that content to the podcast. And people on podcasts and on YouTube is an ever-growing audience. It's where more and more people are going to find political information. So we're excited to join that sort of community, and hopefully listeners and viewers will enjoy it and like what they see from us.
For sure. We offer that perspective of neutrality and nonpartisanship. So I feel like that's very valued in this space, especially on podcasts.
I'm looking forward to trying to, and Frank and I talked a lot about this. We're trying to, there's a little fine line to thread, and politics can be a little fun, well, not too dry, but, we're not taking, biased stances where we're trying to opine on things either. There's a lot of really interesting history and intrigue around our political system and how it's constructed and how we got to where we are. And there's a lot of content material that we feel like is just waiting to be brought forward in podcast form. And we've got some really fun ideas that will be coming out in the next few months and next year ahead. So stay tuned.
Nice little plug.
I do what I can, right, to promote what we're doing here. You'll be on one of those episodes next year, maybe
Yes.
next year.
Yes.
You got a busy next few months coming up. I might let you be.
Yes. For our listeners who don't know, I will be going on leave right around the election because I'll be having my first baby, which is really exciting. Another reason why I'll be stepping away from the podcast because it'll be tough for recording and having a little one maybe screaming in the background.
Those are the best episodes, though. But we'll forgive you for the somewhat ill-timed arrival of a little human. Says someone who has 2 September babies and understands what that's like. So it's not like timing can be controlled in all areas of our life.
Right.
But we're very excited for you over here about Ballotpedia Land, Victoria.
Thank you.
And I forget, we've been trying to count, and I forget what it is, but there is an ongoing count of Ballotpedia babies. So you'll get to join the club, the little secret society of Ballotpedia parents.
I'm looking forward to it.
So yeah, fun. What was your favorite episode now that the couple of years are kind of in the rearview mirror a little bit?
Yeah, I think the one that sticks out the most, and probably the interview I was most nervous for, was interviewing Amy Walters of the Cook Political Report. I also think it ended up being one of our best episodes. That was 2022, I think. So just 2 years ago. Yeah, just feel honored that she came on, shared her expertise about the midterms, and was very gracious. And yeah, it was just great to interview.
If you're listening at this point in the show still, listeners, I would love to know if you like or prefer or have any opinion about the episodes that have the Ballotpedia guests or guests from outside of Ballotpedia. So,
or both, because we've done that
right,
too.
or everyone joined together in a little 3-way conversation, something like that. But if you have any opinions on that, you can leave a comment on the episode, or you can email the Ballotpedia podcast, which will have that information in the show notes as On the Ballot at ballotpedia.org. But just tell us what you think, because we want to hear from you and want to hear what your interests are also. Otherwise, we're just going to make it up and keep going as we see fit, right?
Yeah. I will say I've really enjoyed interviewing other staff writers from other teams. Ballotpedia being a remote workplace, you don't get exposed to as many teams as you'd like, especially about ballot
Ballotpedia interview. Now we can go tell them after the episode, and then tell who is in the last place. We won't tell them, but who's your favorite Ballotpedia guest?
I'm trying to think. I've enjoyed so many of them, really, like Joel Williams on our Marquee team, Ellen, who covers our presidential elections, Caitlin Stursky, who's no longer with Ballotpedia, but did the Chevron Deference episode, was great.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So yeah, just meeting them virtually, interviewing them, listening to them share their expertise was awesome.
You did a great job, Victoria. We're very glad that you've been hanging around with this episode, and we'll miss you, but you're not going far. You'll be still writing all those articles and ballot measures.
Yeah, I'm excited to come back.
You're definitely going to have to come back on about all the election administration related ballot measures, because I suspect that this year's heavy hitting year of that is not going to be the end of that. So whatever we see next year in the election administration space ballot measures, that's one of your sort of core focus areas. So you'll be back to talk all about that.
And I cover Texas, which only convenes in odd numbered years, so definitely we'll be back on for that.
Oh, I know. We should take bets on how many Texas ballot measures there will be next year. Over, under a dozen. What do you think? Over, under?
I'd say over.
Over a dozen.
It's trending.
It's going to be a big year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for your listeners, so Texas has, they only have sessions in odd years, and they don't have initiatives. And, so the elections this fall will really impact that, though, right? Because whether they're supermajorities or regular majorities, or how the sort of factional splits lie in Texas, that usually impacts things. So we'll see how many measures have to come on the ballot that way versus otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, Republicans didn't have supermajority, which is what they need to pass a constitutional amendment to get on the ballot this past year or in 2023, but they still had 14, I think. So
that's gonna be interesting. Lots to look forward to in spring 2025.
Definitely. So what can our listeners expect from you as you take over ahead of the election? Any fun plugs that you can plug right now for future guests or specific episodes?
I think the thing I'm most excited about is what I said earlier, the sort of like deep dives into our historical content, especially in an odd year like next year, where there might be a sort of feeling in the political world that, there's nothing going on really, but there is a really large volume of content that we're excited to debut and talk about. that's what I'm most excited about, is getting into all that. And then I guess obviously in the short term, we've got the election coming up, and we're working on and planning a pretty big series of episodes right around the election, and probably a week or two before and after it. So we're typically sort of once a week, twice a week podcast, and we'll drop a lot more material right around the election as everyone scrambles to figure out how they want to vote, and we want to help. So should be a busy next few months. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it will be. I look forward to listening to it all. And yeah,
and then you'll be reading Ballotpedia and listening while you're changing your diapers and hanging out at home. So.
Yeah, I've been telling everyone I'll still be up late on election night, but probably for other reasons.
For different reasons.
Election results.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, Victoria.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Look forward to you hosting the podcast. And for our listeners, you can learn more about all of our election coverage at the link in our show notes. We'll be back next week with another episode. Make sure you subscribe to On the Ballot wherever you listen to podcasts. And for the last time, I'm Victoria Rose. Thanks for listening.